During the last stream, we started the very beginning of the Silent Hill 2 in-depth playthrough. We started off in the bathroom talking a little bit about James's character, kind of his motivation. We spoiled the entire story, talking about Mary's body in the back seat, James's intentions for coming to the town, the delusion, and how his perception of reality has changed, his introduction into the town from that point, and his first encounters with the only other people in the town so far, Angela, Eddie, and Laura. Some of our very first interactions with each of these characters, but already kind of getting an idea of some of their background and some of the depth of their character just through these first couple of interactions. And basically went through the initial part of the game, going through the apartments all the way up to the point of the Pyramid Head encounter. We see him a few times throughout the apartments, and then ultimately sort of fight him. And as he leaves, it opens up an exit, drains out the water from the area where you fight him, leading into an alleyway that leads back out towards Rosewater Park. On his way towards Rosewater Park, James encounters Laura, who he had met in the apartments briefly. She steps on his hand while James is reaching for a key that's on the other side of some metal bars. And through this quick interaction with Laura, he gets the impression that she knows who he is and that she knows Mary. So James is now curious as to who this is and trying to figure out how Laura fits into all this. But his one-track mind is on finding Mary. His first thought of where to find her in his delusion is Rosewater Park. So heading to Rosewater Park first, he encounters Maria, this woman who looks and sounds almost identical to his wife, practically a twin to his wife, Mary. And Maria herself is not quite real. She is a manifestation of the town. She's kind of a combination of Mary's memories and feelings, but sort of mixed with James's desires of what his wife Mary could have been, in a more ideal, selfish way for him. So she is literally born from a wish. Maria is created by the town from James's desires, from his wishes, which is why we have the name Born from a Wish for this sub-scenario. So since we're at the point in the main scenario of meeting Maria, we're going to go through the Born from a Wish sub-scenario and sort of talk a lot more in depth about Maria herself, and then get back to the main scenario. And it's funny because this is a fresh install, and because the current save file is not a completed save file, it gives you this warning. This additional scenario has been written as a supplement to the main game. We recommend that it be played only after completing the main game do you wish to play. So we can still play it, but it does recommend for first-time players, you probably would want to just finish the whole main scenario and then come back through and play this. But yeah, something that we don't often see, because usually it's not like a fresh install of this game the way it is now. So, yes. And we open
when I woke up
immediately with
I
Maria.
was all alone. Everyone's gone. Is it because of those monsters? What do I do now? Do I fight? and live? Or do those monsters get me? I don't have any reason to go on living. But I'm scared to die. I'm so afraid of pain. Should I run away? I want to find somebody. I don't like being alone. But is there anyone left alive?
So we've got a really harsh, kind of sudden beginning to the sub-scenario. Immediately starts with Maria. She's sitting in this room, which is a back room of the Heaven's Night club in Silent Hill. You can see that there's even like girly posters and stuff posted on the walls and the textures. But we'll see more of this location, this area. Essentially, it's like a nightclub or a strip club known as Heaven's Night. Maria is essentially created here. And the town, it manifests things like the creatures, and it manifests things that sort of have more of a general direction and more of a general purpose that are seemingly not really self-aware. Maria, as a manifestation, because she has sort of Mary's memories and feelings, you could even argue like Mary's soul just sort of re-inhabits this manifested body. But because she is more of like a memory of this person, a new person created from the memory of this person and from James's desires, she is different from the other manifestations, the other creatures. She actually has more will, more of her own choice about what to do with her existence than a lot of other things. So immediately she's given, consciousness where she can recognize who she is, that she exists, at least within the confines of the town and everything right now. And she's wondering, do I run away? Do I give up? Do I try to fight? And she ultimately decides that she wants to try and fight back, just for the hope of maybe meeting somebody. She doesn't really know who specifically yet, but she feels drawn or compelled to see somebody, to meet somebody. So ultimately that is her will, her choice. But her other options, giving up, for example, the town not only gives her free will to be able to make that choice, but it gives her the only thing in her inventory that she starts with is this revolver and exactly one bullet. It holds 10. It's not like full, just one. So this is sort of the town's way of being like, here is your free will choice. If you don't want to exist here, if you choose to give up and to not fight and to not follow, this draw towards meeting somebody who will eventually find out is James, that she has another option to exit, to end her existence. But again, she does not make that choice. So already we get some really heavy kind of concepts and ideas when it comes to Maria, like as this manifestation, because she's more than just a puppet, something created by the town for like a central driving point. Like, she sort of serves that purpose in the end to sort of be this reminder of Mary and this constant reminder to James of what he's done and who he's killed, who he's hurt. But at the same time, she's kind of her own person, given her own choice, her own free will. A lot more so than any other manifestations that we really see. These are the alcohol bottles that when we come through as James, we'll be sure to stop and investigate them, because he gives quite a bit of insight into his character when you look at those. And come down here to the ground floor of Heaven's Night. This is the backdoor entrance that would lead into the alleyway that's right beside Heaven's Night. It's locked. Someone has stuck gum into the lock. I can't open it from this side. So eventually she does make her way back around and comes through this door with James, after revealing that she has the key, on her. But yeah, at this time it just says that it's locked, that someone has stuck gum into the lock, that it won't open from this side. But she opens it from the other side. So I guess the gum's only on the inside lock, which is even worse. Yeah, right. Bunch of savages in that town. We just went through and watched Dogma and Clerks, rewatched them not long ago. Can't help but think of that whenever there's the gum in the lock there. Bunch of savages in this town. And here you can see the Heaven's Night. Got this little kind of pathetic little stage. Not bad. Good vibes here. Danzig would film here? Yeah, probably. I love the look of all the neon signs. Even little details like the Paradise neon sign. You can see where the outline of the leg sort of it is, and the way that it curves, it sort of makes it looks like the woman has like a bit of a belly. And if you look at Maria's character model, she's designed with like a little bit of noticeable like stomach fold. Not much, but you can see just like a little bit of it there at the top part of the skirt. Real subtle hints at like just health. The fact that she's not sort of like skinny and more withered the way that Mary was in the later stages of her illness, because she's being born from James's desire, thinking of, a Mary that would be healthier and, sexier. His wish for what Mary could have been is essentially what creates Maria. But yeah, just the lighting, the color schemes, things like that. This quality is amazing. What am I using exactly? Type !EE in chat. This is the enhanced edition mod for the PC version. Find myself like holding the camera button a lot of the time, kind of missing out on some of these very particular cinematic angles. A lot of really good camera shots. You don't get to explore the entirety of Silent Hill for Born from a Wish. They have quite a bit of it kind of blocked off, but they still give you a little chunk of the town to kind of run around in. Can you do the Maria secret pole dance? Nope, because it doesn't exist. Just like the ambulance ending of Silent Hill 1. One of those goofy things that, you know, I remember it spreading around different websites and things like that back in the day. Here's Brookhaven Hospital. There's nothing for me to do here. No other comment from her on Brookhaven. No trespassing. Vendors and visitors register at main office. Some basic little signs and stuff. Speaking of ambulance ending. Kind of a low poly ambulance hanging out back there. Since it's just like a background thing, the textures are not as defined as a lot of other ones that you might come across. I almost never use this. The Chinese cleaver. Square-bladed knife. Ugly but powerful and easy to use. You also don't have a radio. So, you get a very different kind... You get a very different kind of ambiance with the lack of the radio when enemies are nearby. You kind of just have to deal with them. Oh, really? And people say the combat in this game is bad. Can't wait for the remake to come out. I'm gonna be sidestepping and dodging everywhere. Perfect parry, everything. Masaru Ito should make tweets about that stuff and tell people how to unlock them. When they replay back saying they can't do it, he just says skill issue. Nah, he's not that big of a troll. But I do love some of his responses to things. Ito can be like really blunt when talking about the kind of stuff that just like irritates him. And I think that's great. I think more game devs need to be like that. Willing to engage in their fans both in a pleasant, polite, you know, insightful way, but also know some people just need to be told to shut up. Because that's kind of how he is. I like how there was people where there was some Twitter replies going on, and it wasn't even like the main focus of what he was pissed off about. It was people who were like defending something, and Ito was basically just like, don't follow me on Twitter, don't buy Silent Hill 2. He's like, you are just you're banned in Ito's eyes. I don't know, I just find it really funny. Hey Hate the fact that Maria keeps the knife at the end of the game, but she doesn't use it in the main game. True. We see her throw the revolver away, but she doesn't get rid of this. She doesn't get rid of any of her other stuff. So that whole time that she's just walking around acting all helpless, she could have actually been fighting with stuff. At the very least with the cleaver. And she doesn't help James, not even once. Maybe that's why they kind of changed that and rectified that for Silent Hill 4. Where they give Eileen the ability to actually, like, help you fight stuff. Ow. You know, the range on this thing kind of sucks, but I also kind of like the animation of it. Oh, goes. Wiggling away. Ito disagrees with the notion that the customer is always right. Oh, absolutely. He has straight up told fans that are irritating him on Twitter, like, to not buy the new game. He's like the exact opposite of good marketing. But hey, you know what? I love that kind of honesty in Ito. Never noticed how the lying figures have platform boots? Yeah, the way their feet are designed, they literally have like platforms. Are up there, because you can see the way the mannequins' feet are designed. You know, they're a lot more normal, a lot more just kind of like flat. Go ahead and get out that beefy revolver. Gun in your hand. With a skull. The graffiti there. There's a gun in my hand now. Spooky. How did it know? Does the Silent Hill 2 site still link to his tweet saying he fucking hates having made Pyramid Head? It's just silenthill.com. That's literally what silenthill.com links to. Because Konami didn't think to renew the URL of silenthill.com. Especially when they knew they were going to have, like, a whole bunch of new stuff in the way. Like, stuff being made. They didn't renew it when it became available. So, some legend bought it. They got the domain name when it went up for free. Or not for free, but when it went available because it had been owned and just unused for a long time, and then it went up for sale, and it was something like 9,000. It was like almost 10,000 or something. And I remember jokingly talking at the time, being like, we should raise money and buy it. But somebody bought it, and they turned out to be a mischievous fan who changed it to just showing an image of that tweet from Ito saying, I wish I hadn't fucking designed Pyramid Head. Doname sounds much better than domain name, doesn't it? Apparently my brain also thought that. Or I had a mild stroke, one of the two. Absolute legend. Yeah, whoever did get SilentHill.com, I hope they're watching so that they can know that we appreciate everything that they've done for this community. Even on normal, these lying figures, they can take some fucking revolver shots. It doesn't feel like it's any more effective than the regular handgun. Thoughts on the new remake? I hope it's good, but my expectations are low. Especially because I'm not a fan of basically any of Bloober Team's games. Dead. You can see some corpses very similar to what we see in the main scenario as James. These corpses that resemble James himself. And Maria, being a manifestation essentially created from James's mind, using Mary's thoughts and memories and feelings, but ultimately being created from James's mind, she is still encountering other aspects of James's mind. So the same things that James is seeing that are being manifested for him are being manifested for Maria. The same creatures, the same bodies, the same like corpses. It makes sense in like a lore perspective. It also makes sense just in a programming efficiency thing, like development efficiency thing, not creating a whole new set of enemies for this sub scenario. It's a way to, add content without having to model a bunch of new things. But from the standpoint of the story and what this character would most likely be experiencing, I feel like it's also accurate. She would still just be seeing the same things that James sees. This is like a fairly big area for this sub scenario, but a lot of it is blocked off, so feels a little more intimidating at first. It's no Spencer Mansion. Wow, what a mansion. Make sure we do not save over our main scenario file so we can go back to that. Locked. The model of the Earth. I've got no use for that. Called a globe, weirdo. You absolute freak. Just a row of dishes, nothing to do with me. The fireplace is boarded off. Do not use is written on it. Our map of the mansion. Got no reason to use the phone. Not even saying that it doesn't work, just no reason to use it. A still life painting. Display of decorative plates, nothing interesting. A 3D Earth map. There's nothing inside. Too bad. Painting of flowers. You can see there's like picture of somebody's face there. The way the eyes are like shaded on that portrait on the desk, it almost looks like a Metal Gear Solid art. Like Vulcan Raven, you know? Vulcan. That's everything that you can examine that gives like unique text about these. No. You read audiobooks, you have the voice for audiobooks. You know, I've actually tried to do voice acting and audiobook things through websites and stuff where you can sign up to do that, but I've never actually gotten hired to do it. We can see a little bit of foreshadowing to this puzzle that we're going to be solving in a little bit. There's a red and black plate with holes cut in each one. And you can see they're arranged in like a specific way that's actually the solution for the puzzle that we're going to be solving. That shows the way that we need to orient that red plate and that black plate in order to solve it. So there's a little subtle hint. She doesn't say anything when you try to examine it. Like if you're pressing a button, trying to like get her to say something about it. Doesn't say anything, but it's just kind of a little subtle hint to solving that puzzle. Door is locked. I'll have to come back to it. Here we get the only plate that was not shown in the picture in the staircase. The whiteboard. And each of these actually has a little bit more meaning to it. So once we get to the black and red one, we'll be able to see what those are. But for the whiteboard, white metal board with square holes punched into it, found in the second floor entrance hall. And if you examine it, it says, "When the white breath is found, I shall dedicate this thing. O spirit of the mist, grant us fortune eternal." It's written on the back. And a shape of a bottle is drawn onto this whiteboard. So this is representative of the white chrism, which is one of the items used in the rebirth ending of the main scenario for Silent Hill 2. So for the rebirth ending of Silent Hill 2, you're essentially gathering a bunch of ritual items that are used specifically for this like rebirth or bring someone back from the dead type of ritual. And we see a lot of parallels to that in this sub scenario. So it's kind of an interesting parallel, especially when you're familiar with the rebirth ending of the main game, where you're gathering white chrism, an obsidian goblet, a book of lost memories, which tells you sort of about the history of the town, and a crimson tome, which is specifically occult writing that kind of gives more of the instructions and definition of the ritual itself. So you're finding things to complete the ritual along with information about the ritual as you go through Silent Hill 2 and its main scenario. At least going for the rebirth ending, which we will not be doing on this playthrough, just because it's a New Game Plus thing and this is a completely fresh install since I'm using my girlfriend's computer for the time being while mine is dead. So in the meantime, until I can replace it, I've had to move everything onto this new PC. That's why it's a fresh install and I can't show any New Game Plus content. But anyway, just a little bit of insight into these boards and kind of their significance towards elements in the main scenario. Now we have our introduction to the character Ernest Baldwin.
Is somebody there? Open up. Hello?
Stop it. You're disturbing me.
Thank God. I finally found somebody. Can you open the door?
No.
But why?
Is it really necessary for me to answer all your tedious questions?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I want to be alone. Other people just irritate me.
I just want to see another human face. Do you know what's happening in this town? There's no one here. Just monsters.
Yes, I know. But so what? It has nothing to do with me. No one here means there's no one to disturb me.
You want to be alone in this insane asylum?
Yes, exactly. But how can you say that it's this town that's insane? Perhaps it's we who are insane. Both of us. Hopelessly insane. Are you satisfied? Would you leave me alone?
My name is Maria. What's your name?
Ernest.
Hemingway?
Baldwin.
Ernest? I'll be back.
So that's Ernest Baldwin, who, just based on the way that he kind of speaks, it seems like he has some more insight into kind of what Silent Hill is. He is aware that he's like a ghost. We don't know exactly what Ernest is, if he's a manifestation similar to Maria, sort of created from a strong memory of somebody who once was alive. The same way that Maria's a manifestation, sort of based on Mary, from her memories and things from when she was alive. So they're kind of similar, maybe not exactly the same. Ernest might be just a straight up ghost as well. But it's interesting getting some insight into him, and the fact that he kind of seems to have more knowledge about the town and kind of how it works. He brings up the idea, hey, maybe we're both just insane, hopelessly insane, which kind of gives some of his insight into how like people's sanity affects their perception of the town and what's around them. Almost like fourth wall breaking, in a sense. So it's interesting to see Maria talking with Ernest and sort of not only learning more through him, but sort of also focusing those questions back towards herself, like who she is and how she came to be and why she can interact with Ernest, knowing that he's a ghost, even though she doesn't really figure that out until a little bit later. Ernest Baldwin, also, a little bit of trivia, is voiced by a voice actor named Ward Sexton. And Ward Sexton is best known as the guy that says Resident Evil at the start of Resident Evil 1, the original Resident Evil 1, and the original Resident Evil 4. He's like the narrator and title Resident Evil name drop voice. So that voice that says that at the start of Resident Evil and Resident Evil 4 is this guy. That's Ward Sexton. That's Ernest Baldwin. So whenever you hear Ernest talking, you can kind of hear some of those similar tones. Obviously, he's doing a very different kind of tone when he does the Resident Evil title thing, but you can hear it a little bit. Here's another framed picture showing the red and black plates that we are yet to collect for that upcoming puzzle. Basically identical, almost identical, except for the way the holes are arranged as the white one that we've got.
Ernest? Are you there? No, I guess not.
So for the time being, Ernest is no longer responsive. So you start exploring, which inevitably will lead you to head back downstairs. You can hear this loud bang and footsteps, very light, like childlike small footsteps leading away. And that loud bang was the cover on the fireplace, falling down. For some reason, there's a ladder in the fireplace leading up. Along the way, I can see something that looks like a hole. I don't know why, but I've always really liked the visuals of this. Like, this is such a weird, sort of nonsensical space, right? There's this ladder in the fireplace that leads up to this room that's just like completely overgrown in vegetation, just sitting up above their house, wherever this chimney leads to. It's even got all these little like lights and stuff stuck in. It's a neat little room. The indoor garden attic. And here we get our red board and our black board. So the whiteboard we looked at and read the inscription and its comparison to the white chrism. For the blackboard, we have this inscription: when the dark grail is found, I shall dedicate this thing. You who denied death, grant us fortune eternal. So the you who denied death part, giving some insight into that particular ritual, since this is part of the rebirth ending of the main scenario for Silent Hill 2, and it's part of what ritual Ernest was hoping to accomplish. As we're going to find out, this is essentially a ritual to bring someone back from the dead, to deny that to deny death. Grant us fortune eternal. And the picture is supposed to display the obsidian goblet, which is one of the rebirth ending items for the main scenario. Then we have the red board, which shows a red book. When the crimson words are found, I shall dedicate this thing. O you gods, deep in slumber, grant us fortune eternal. So that is the crimson tome, which is basically just the ritual book that defines that resurrection ritual or rebirth ritual in better detail, along with like the words that you're supposed to repeat, everything like that. So when the crimson words are found, referencing that crimson tome, the gods deep in slumber, granting fortune eternal, performing a ritual for these ancient sleeping gods that they believe sort of exist, that the cult believes exists within the town. And for all intents and purposes, maybe they do. That's one of those kind of things left up to mystery when it comes to Silent Hill. Are these gods and things all like real and have always been here and are always manipulating things in this area? Or is it just the town's power making those gods real because that is what is in the minds of the cultists? And that's kind of what the town does in general. It just takes what's in people's minds and manifests it into reality. So if the cult has been here for a long time, believing in all of these gods, that's essentially where they kind of come from. But anyway, that's where their belief structure comes from. That's why they have rebirth rituals and these specific items that are used for the rebirth ritual. Then we have a tombstone, square depression in the center of the tombstone, and above that is a carefully carved epitaph. Along with you died joy. All that remains is despair and a future of meaningless tomorrows. But I will never give up. One, to see your beautiful smile again. One, to beg the blessings of the gods. I wait for that day. When the boards cover all sadness too will be covered, but until my dreams return to reality, I will have to swallow all the pain. There's a key firmly embedded in the stone beneath the depression. No matter how I try, I can't pull it out. So now we kind of start piecing together some more elements of Ernest Baldwin's backstory, kind of what happened to him, what happened in his life. So along with you died joy. So somebody in, who was close to Ernest, died. And along with that person dying, his joy also died. All that remains is despair and a future of meaningless tomorrows. So he had essentially given up on life. But I will never give up. One, to see your beautiful smile again. One, to beg the blessings of the gods. I wait for that day. So he doesn't want to give up even after death. Implying that he wants this, rebirth ritual to happen. He wants to bring this person back from the dead so that he can see their beautiful smile again and beg the blessings of the gods for that to happen. When the boards cover all sadness too will be covered, but until my dreams return to reality, I will have to swallow all the pain. So we're using these 3 boards and arranging them in such a way so that they cover completely all of this square depression, which literally represents Baldwin's depression. Like his sadness will also be covered. And the fact that we're using these boards that have all of these images on them representing the items necessary for the rebirth ritual is definitely not a coincidence. trying to arrange it that way, we still had the top left hole. That's essentially the whole puzzle. You just have to arrange them so that everything is covered. You can either do this you can brute force it and just keep trying combinations until you find something that works. It's been a while. I thought there was like a relatively simple way to remember it from when I was learning to speedrun this, but I have not run specifically Born from a Wish in a while. But it's like you put the first one in just like as is, and then the second two, I think you just rotate 90. And if you really want to just be 100% sure of the solution, you can also look at the paintings. Go and look at the paintings on the stairs next to where Ernest was. And it shows exactly how to arrange them. There it is. So you do the red one as it is, and then black and white rotate the first option where you rotate 90 degrees. That's what it is. Hey, blubby faced. So far, so good. When the three boards overlapped, the key came free. Get the Acacia key. Engraved with an acacia flower, found embedded in a stone slab. And there is some significance to that particular plant, the acacia plant. And luckily enough, the game actually does explain it directly. Sort of the symbolism of the acacia, what it represents. Downstairs. Head up. So now...
Ernest? Are you there? No. I guess not.
Ernest is still gone. That door that was previously locked. Use the acacia key to get through. Kind of funny, since you get a little bit of a glimpse outside through these windows, you can see that there's the outside fog effect. And it kind of bleeds into the hallway very slightly. There's like a little bit of smoke seemingly coming in through the windows. Some of that fog making its way in. So this is really interesting. First, we need to make sure we pick up these matches. They're going to be necessary for another little puzzle, quote-unquote puzzle. Matches. Only 2 or 3 matches are left, found in a kid's room. So you get some interesting dialogue with a lot of the things that you can examine in here. The shelf is filled with fairy tales and other children's literature. I'm sure I've never read this, but somehow it seems familiar. So Maria is essentially looking at things that she knows that she herself has never read, but that she's most likely read as Mary, that she has memories of these books and these stories from Mary. This is where we're definitively getting the idea that Maria is essentially made using Mary's memories from her life when she was alive. So books and things that Mary would have been familiar with, Maria is familiar with, even though she recognizes that she hasn't, read them during her existence. Small bed for a child. A doll is sitting on the chair. Now that I look closer, it's filthy. Whoever lived here must have really loved this thing. Like that we get, the insight. She's not just looking at it as, this filthy doll. She's taking into consideration that, it's gross because a child probably had it and held it and, played with it, and it's well loved. It's well used. Now here is like the most definitive information that we get. Stuffed animals line the top of the shelf. Nothing very interesting. Oh, is this a teddy bear? It's not very well made, but it's sort of cute anyway. I bet Laura would love it. She loves bears. And we even see Laura in the main scenario. We find her in Brookhaven Hospital playing with little toy bears. And then she kind of catches herself. Laura, who am I talking about? So she remembers Laura. She knows who Laura is. She has Mary's, memories from when she was alive, when she was in the hospital, and when Laura was one of the only people that, she would see from day to day. Was one of her only friends, and, eventually came to love Laura essentially like a daughter, saying, that she would adopt her if given the opportunity, if she had gotten better, if things hadn't been the way that they were.
This is not
Regulus,
a dream. What's happening to this place?
Regulus, thank you so much for the raid. Much appreciated. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, I love that we get that little bit of dialogue, just referring to Laura and Maria having this thing that sort of triggers a memory of Laura, and then catching herself like, wait, why? Who is Laura? Why do I know that? And once you get that dialogue, it doesn't come up again. If you examine the stuffed animals, all you get is stuffed animals are lined up, and that's it. So, really cool info. Always liked those little details, just to sort of confirm exactly what Maria is.
She fell out of the window! Don't move her!
What happened?
She fell out of the window. You can hear some people, echoes of the past, people panicking, saying, oh, she hit her head, she fell out of the window. So now you start piecing together between the Tombstone, between Ernest and our conversation with him. We kind of start piecing together exactly what happened here. If you can try to examine around this sort of attic space, upstairs area, but can't see anything. If only I had some light. So using the matches that we found, you can light the candle and explore the area. Books are stacked on the floor. There's nothing very interesting. I was never too interested in literature and philosophy anyway. The pile of junk. It doesn't look like there's anything useful. It's kind of funny that you get, I was never interested in literature and philosophy, because that's something that it feels like Mary probably would have been more interested in. So it shows that on top of having Mary's memories, Maria still is her own sort of person. Even though she's not a real person, she still has her own will. She still has her own sort of thoughts and attitude and feelings about things, preferences. There's a wooden box here. There's nothing particularly unusual about it. Pile of junk. Doesn't look like there's anything useful. You can see there's these like large windows. And we heard people panicked, screaming about, you know, she fell out of the window, she hit her head, what happened? And then we find this under the chair next to the window. There's something below the chair. Is this a birthday card? To my dearest daddy, happy birthday from Amy Baldwin. Got a birthday card and present. Birthday card and an unopened present from Amy. And we'll actually hear Amy's voice as we start to head back to give this to Ernest.
Give it to my daddy.
What was that? Who in the hell was that?
Good timing. That was Amy Baldwin. That was the voice of Amy Baldwin, Harry. I'll explain in a moment. But first I have to thank Deus Ex Logic for 400 bits. Thank you so much, Deus Ex. Very much appreciate it. Hey, just finished your last vid on YouTube. Glad to chip in for the PC. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate all the love and support, especially helping me out. Replacing my dead PC. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And yeah, good timing on the alert. Suddenly Harry Basin chimes in. But yeah, that is the voice of Amy Baldwin saying, give it to my daddy. Give the present and card to him. And now we have kind of that full picture. So Amy Baldwin had a birthday present and a card that she was wrapping or putting together or hiding in the attic, that she meant to give to her father, Ernest Baldwin, for his birthday. And she had an accident, hit her head, fell out of the window, and died. So Ernest, all of his, joy died with Amy. And we get that epitaph on the tombstone just to sort of enforce that idea. And Ernest, wanted to go through the effort of bringing her back from the dead, having her be reborn, and essentially trying to complete the same ritual that James hopes to complete in the rebirth ending. So now we can actually enter into this door, which is the door that we were speaking through to talk to Ernest up until this point. There's a clock here. I guess it's broken. The needles aren't moving. And you can see a bit of the outside and fog area there. Fog effect just outside of the window. But here we have a book that looks like a plant encyclopedia. So the Acacia key that we found earlier, this book explains kind of the significance of that. Acacia, a genus of evergreen trees of the mimosa tribe of the pea family. Its tiny flowers are yellow or white and grow in clusters. Common varieties include the gum tree. The acacia tree is a potent symbol in many religions across the world. In Christianity, it represents eternal life and morality, so that element of eternal life. And in ancient Egypt, it represented purity and rebirth, very specifically there, rebirth. The fact that, it also ties into this idea of being reborn and of rebirth and of eternal life The same as this, ritual that involves the obsidian goblet, the white chrism, the crimson tome, all of these other elements. While in ancient Babylonia, it was thought of as the tree of the goddess Ishtar and was a symbol of life. It was also a holy tree to the ancient Jews who built the sacred Ark of the Covenant from it, and for whom it signified a peaceful death and a release from grief. So there's a few different layers to that, like different ways that it interprets it and the way that it explains the Acacia's significance in different religions, but how there's kind of this common theme of life, eternal life, rebirth. Very, very, symbolic of Mary dying and essentially being reborn as this manifested new form of Maria. But it also ties in with Ernest Baldwin losing his daughter Amy and wanting, desperately to bring her back. Unlocks and opens back here. The vase and a lion statue. I've got no use for those right now. To be honest, we don't see what James was like before Mary got sick and the events of this game. True, we really don't know what kind of person James was before everything, kind of taking place. We know how it affected him. We see kind of like the aftermath of it, the type of person that he becomes. But yeah, we don't get too much of an idea of like how James was before the illness. The okayest video game character. There's a mop and bucket here. I don't really feel like cleaning anyway. Not even our house. Not what we're here for. Nothing here I can use now. Lovely little breakfast nook. Not even like a stove or anything. There is some boxes of butter cake. The iconic boxes of butter cake. They really must be iconic, everybody's favorite, because they show up as a as an item or a thing in Silent Hill Book of Memories. Gross. Getting spewed on. Mary talked nice about him in the letter and in the video, so I guess he was nice. He just got screwed up later. I mean, we get little hints and impressions of that, like how she says, he's sort of surly and he doesn't laugh much, but underneath he's a really sweet person. But is that what he was like after the illness, or is that, how Mary remembers him being after she got sick? There's a clock here, but it looks like it's not running anymore. This won't do me any good. There are books on the desk. None of it looks very interesting. The bookshelf is lined with complete editions of difficult-looking books.
What was that? Who in the hell was that?
Ross Favor, thank you so much for the 1,000 bits. It's very kind of you. Thank you so much. That's a lot of bits. Thank you, thank you. Lost Memories. I have the strongest trust, you may even call it faith, in the miracle called Resurrection of the Dead. So this is from Ernest himself, you know, that he has faith in this miracle, in this ritual, to resurrect the dead. Upon the hill where the light descended, the beast intoned his song, with words of blood, drops of mist, and the vessel of night, the grave become an open field. So words of blood, that's referencing the crimson tome. Drops of mist is the white chrism. The vessel of night is the obsidian goblet. So again, we're making direct reference in these writings to these specific ritual items necessary for the rebirth ending and for this rebirth ritual. The people wept in fear and joy at the reunion, but my faith in the salvation of Zuchilpaba did not waver. So we start seeing some deity names thrown out there. Zuchilpaba. It's rare that we get a whole lot of the cult deity names directly. We in Silent Hill 1, we get like Mark of Samael. So we get reference to Samael. Silent Hill 2, we get Zuchilpaba here, but you know, just in this one little thing. Silent Hill 3 makes reference to, we get Valtiel as like a major deity, but also some writing that mentions Lobsolvith and Zuchilbara, which is, some people theorize is probably supposed to be the same thing as Zuchilpaba. Something think that it is different from Zuchilpaba and it's like its own deity. Either way, you know, we start getting little glimpses into like deities and things that exist within the religion and the cult beliefs. And just as like a little bit of trivia on development, Hiroyuki Owaku and some of the other developers have mentioned in interviews that they pull from real world things to come up with a lot of their stuff for their occult beliefs. And when they were putting together all these sort of ideas for deities, they were looking at like Aztec and Mayan names to come up with for some of their deities, which is where they got Zuchilpaba. But it wasn't supposed to be like named for a specific deity that exists in real life. They just wanted to sort of copy the naming structure and use similar, you know, syllables and, you know, similar spellings without using something directly. Sometimes they use things very directly to their real world counterparts, but sometimes they do stuff like this, where they're just coming up with it based around spellings and pronunciations of real life things, but not actually using those directly. It is also spoken of in the ancient legends. The original worshippers did not believe that death was the end, but that it was simply the path by which the deceased returned to nature. They also believed the process was reversible. So, going into the original worshippers, ancient legends, and for this, we don't know if they're going back as far as just cult members, or if they're going back to the beliefs of like the Native American tribes that settled the area that eventually became Silent Hill. And that death was reversible. This religion and this specific ritual of rebirth has been around for such a long time. There's something imprinted towards the bottom of the page. Did Ernest write this? What could it mean? Blood equals red, mist equals white, night equals black. So more reference to the the 3 plates that we used for the Tombstone puzzle, and our 3 core rebirth ending or rebirth ritual items, artifacts, components, whatever you want to call them. So now we get another conversation with Ernest.
Do you know a little girl named Amy?
Why do you ask me that?
This letter. To my dearest daddy. It's from a girl named Amy Baldwin. Your daddy?
Yes. Where'd you find that?
Up in the attic.
Oh. What a fool. Now, when it's too late, I finally understand why. Why she was there. Why she was holding that empty envelope when she fell.
Ernest. Amy. She isn't... I'm sorry. I'm sorry I reminded you.
No need to apologize. You didn't remind me. I've never forgotten. Maria, some things we forget, and some things we can never forget. It's funny, I'm not sure which one is sadder. It's been 10 years, but I still...
Ernest, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
No, it's fine. Maria, that letter.
I'll leave it here.
Thanks. Maria? So you must be... That's why you could see me.
Huh?
So perhaps that means that I can hope for a miracle as well.
What do you mean?
In the apartment next door, there's a bottle containing a white liquid. I don't know exactly where it is, but I know it's in there somewhere. I must have it.
You... want me to get it for you?
Please.
Why don't you just get it yourself?
If I could, believe me, I would. But
White?
I'll open the stairway door.
Ernest, do you really believe it will work?
I don't know.
Well, that's okay. I don't mind fighting for an impossible cause. Anyway, it beats just giving up and doing nothing.
Maria, thank you.
Yeah, so really great scene. Really nice dialogue between Ernest and between Maria. We get Ernest sort of explaining the last little bit of what happened with Amy Baldwin, why he found her dead and holding like an empty envelope, find the birthday card and the present. So it kind of like almost makes things worse. Like on top of having been grieving for so long, Ernest is not even alive anymore. He's a ghost, which answers your question, Flipdoor, as to why he can't leave. It's a lot like why Lisa felt like she couldn't leave Alchemilla Hospital in Silent Hill 1, because they're already dead. They're kind of tied to the place where they died. And for Ernest, he wanted to perform this ritual. He wanted to bring back Amy, but apparently like didn't live long enough to get everything together. He was still missing something, specifically the white chrism. And he describes this item, a bottle containing a white liquid. He could have just explained what, white chrism is, this milky white anointing oil that's used for this rebirth ritual. But instead he's very vague about it. I love how even Maria questions it. She says, white? like is it what I think it is? Kind of the implication there. What are you making me go and get? White liquid? All right, I guess.
You think miracles really can happen?
Let's talk to him again.
This is Silent Hill.
Oh, name drop.
Yeah. Maybe that's the problem.
Oh, Maria, you think too much. I'm from here. This is my town.
From here. Yeah, I like that. Silent Hill. Not exactly miracles, but, some crazy stuff can still happen. Well, let's go get that bottle of white liquid. Maria's even using the same red squares to save. Yeah, I explained at the beginning, towards the beginning of the playthrough, because she's manifested from James, she perceives reality the same way that James does. So it's the same creatures, the same decayed version of the town, even the same red squares. From a development standpoint, it's also easier to just reuse existing assets. He gets back memories from those squares? No. She doesn't, comment on them specifically. So I wouldn't assume that. She just already has Mary's memories. And over the course of the game, over the course of her existence, they sort of recur to her. She remembers more strongly her past life and exactly what happened, but I don't think she's necessarily regaining them when she saves. Or when she encounters the red squares. But it's possible. There's some kind of plate on the floor. Amy Baldwin. She was loved too much by God. 7 years was not enough time. Only 7 years old. Just like Alessa, just like Cheryl. What is it with 7-year-old girls in Silent Hill? That is the worst place to be a 7-year-old. Your life is basically guaranteed to go to shit. Keep out of Haunted Mansion. I love how from this side it looks a lot more run down. You've got all the graffiti on the outside of it. And people just refer to it as a haunted mansion. Again, if you wanted any more indication that Ernest is probably just kind of like a lingering spirit. Even the locals are like spray painting on the side of it, calling it a haunted mansion. And we enter in from this door. So I pointed this door out during the main scenario. And they also respawn enemies whenever you come back out here. But it's not a whole lot of area that you really get to see. Just kind of this back alley, sort of back end of some of these buildings, the apartments, the rest of this little park area that's kind of fenced off. But this area with the dumpsters and everything, it's a very small thing. But in the main scenario, you're not able to open this door. Like, you can't come out here as James. Even though you can examine this door. Because now we're just inside the Blue Creek apartments. So here we go in the... This is the same apartment in the main scenario where you solve the table puzzle, desk puzzle, with the 3 coins. But visiting here for the sub-scenario, you can see this little white vial sitting on top. A white liquid, small bottle filled with an unknown white liquid. The label reads, "I deny thee." So it's even got the same writing compared to the whiteboard that we found earlier with the inscription of the white chrism. It's a slightly different item description in the inventory compared to when you find it in New Game Plus in the main scenario as part of the rebirth ending requirements. Which is kind of neat. They give it its own slightly different item description for the sub-scenario. Let's take a look around. Doesn't really let you get to everywhere. You can even see some of these doors that normally would be open in the main scenario. They just say, "I can't open it." It's not locked, it's not jammed, but they kind of keep you from going in through certain areas. But that's what we needed, the white chrism. Let's go ahead and look upstairs, just because there's a few other things you can check. You can also even pick up the map. I love how the Blue Creek apartment map is still just laying here. Which means I guess there's 2 of them. You pick this one up as Maria, And then James at some point also comes through here and picks one up in the exact same spot. I love the water splooshing effects. Born from a Wish happens hours before James goes to Silent Hill. No. It's happening simultaneously. Like, as soon as James arrives in Silent Hill, Maria is created at that moment. She is brought into existence. So while James is still wandering down the path into town, talking with Angela, you know, encountering the first lying figure, Maria was waking up in Heaven's Night, going to the Baldwin mansion and, you know, going through all of this. Where's James right now? It's hard to tell exactly where he winds up. Essentially, Maria is just a little bit ahead of him. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if at this point, while Maria is here in the Blue Creek apartments, he's probably still just getting into the other apartments, the Woodside apartments. It's a safe, but I don't know how to open it. Reach in the toilet. Disgusting. All she says. He ain't touching that. I can see the apartment next door from the window. So she acknowledges that she can see it. This is the other Woodside apartments where you normally enter to the Blue Creek on the main scenario through here. But yeah, Maria is, I think, just a little bit ahead of James. Because she's going to get through all of this and then make her way to meet James in Rosewater Park, which is where he goes immediately after leaving the apartments. Which is where we're going to pick up on the main scenario. Even this door is open. She can get into this little area where the first pyramid head fight occurs. There's no water or anything. We can come down here and look around a little bit. This should take me to the alley that runs to the park. But first, I'd better take care of my promise to Ernest. So this would... Pyramid foot, yeah. Pyramid head foot. Pyramid foot head. But this should take me to the alley that runs to the park. First, I'd better take care of my promise to Ernest. That's cool, that it acknowledges, like, this is where you're supposed to go. This is where she inevitably does wind up going. But we gotta go take the bottle of white stuff back to Ernest. The whole reason why we're here. Locked. There's a note stuck on the door. Dear Tim. So this is the same Dear Tim note for the Line House in the main scenario. For anyone who missed that during part 1 of the playthrough yesterday, there's a few interesting little references in this note. Dear Tim. Tim is a reference to Tim Robbins, who played the lead character in Jacob's Ladder, which was a very influential film to the developers when they were making Silent Hill, specifically Silent Hill 2 and 3.
I left the house key with Uncle David. Uncle David is a reference to David Lynch, another filmmaker very influential to Team Silent. And then it explains where to find the key, and when you find the key, it is the Line house key, Lyne, which is how you spell the name of director Adrian Lyne, who directed the movie Jacob's Ladder. So all these little kind of film references. That's everything. Let's get back to Ernest. There's something very eerie about just this, like, organ, piano, dissonant tone music, and there's no radio sound for the monsters since she doesn't have a radio. We're just hearing the monster sounds and this, like, really off-key, dissonant tone, dissonant chord. Yeah, Kibbs, the music does sound a lot more similar to the kind of stuff you would hear in, like, Silent Hill 1. All right, here is your white chrism, good sir.
Thank you, Maria. That's the only item I couldn't get myself. By the time I found out about it, I could no longer leave this house. So long.
Yes, but will...
Maria, the gods are here. You know it too. You were born in this town.
I'm not sure God is the right word.
Do you believe in fate?
Not really.
That's fine then.
Ernest, can I open this?
This is a dead end. There's nothing beyond here.
I know. So, what if I had said I believed in fate?
That James. He's a bad man.
James... Yes. I know.
He's looking for the you that isn't you.
Because he's kind? Do you know something?
Yes. Maria, you're...
Anyway, that's just what you think. You don't really know anything. That's fine.
Okay.
James.
Mary? No, you're not.
Do I look like your girlfriend? My name is Maria.
And that is it for Born from a Wish. So essentially what we have there is this aspect, of Mary, Maria, who's literally been born from a wish, born from James's desires for what his wife Mary, could have been, what he wanted her to be ideally, but still existing with Mary's thoughts and feelings and memories and all of these things that make her a really interesting character. Like, she's not a real person, but as a manifestation, she's not just sort of a mindless creation like one of the creatures, one of the monsters. It's very similar to Lisa in Silent Hill 1, where she gets to keep some aspects of humanity, even just being sort of a recreation and a manifestation of somebody who,
didn't exist or isn't alive anymore in the case of Lisa. So, now that that covers everything about Maria, sort of how she was created, all of the significance of kind of the rebirth elements and themes and symbolism in this game, and a little bit more information on the history of it through Ernest and through this ritual, we get a pretty clear understanding of who Maria is. And now that we know that, and she comes to this realization of who she is, she recognizes that she is sort of this manifestation, at least to some degree. She kind of recognizes what she is, and she remembers James. And she's having this sort of conflict with herself as she's recalling him, talking with Ernest, saying that he's, that he's a bad man, but then she also wants to believe that he's kind. But either way, she's made up her mind that she is going to continue to exist as whatever she is, this creation of James's desires and Mary's thoughts and memories, and go with James. She completely plays it off, acting as though she doesn't know him. We know now that that is an act. She does remember him. She knows who he is. She might not know the exact details. That might be coming back to her gradually as the game sort of goes on. But she knows him. She's not just this stranger in appearance the way that she was introduced here when we last left off. So, now that Maria is with us, time to run off and leave her behind. Explore the rest of the town. Because since we got through the apartments, we're currently in Rosewater Park. So there's a lot of new areas of the town that we have access to. A lot of little details and things in the environment that I want to stop and kind of look at and point out along the way. One thing about Silent Hill 2, one of the reasons why I kind of consider this my favorite Silent Hill game, aside from just it's really good writing, because I would argue, Silent Hill 3's writing and gameplay and visuals, sound and everything are absolutely amazing as well. One of the things I like about Silent Hill 2 is that it's mostly a standalone experience. You don't really have to play any other Silent Hill games to have like a good understanding and to be able to get a good understanding of Silent Hill 2. It's a really good, for the most part, like well self-contained story. But for being a self-contained story and not necessarily focusing on the cult and the aspects like that the way Silent Hill 1 does, things like Born from a Wish and the Rebirth ending and this emphasis on sort of the cult being this precursor, this element of the story where even without any cultists, directly interfering with what we're doing, or being like primary characters the way like Dahlia is in Silent Hill 1 or Claudia and Vincent would be in Silent Hill 3, it's much more of a background thing, and you get little hints and pieces about kind of the history and the cult itself. Stuff like this, some more text that cannot be uncovered except through going in and digging in and looking at the game files. But the statue reads, "Victim of persecution by the Christians," and they specifically blank out that aspect, but that is what that says, is victim of persecution by the Christians. Jennifer Carroll lived with pride and honor. What happened here shall never be forgotten. So think about that in those kind of terms. In this town of Silent Hill with its sort of mixed history as far as belief structures, you had kind of regular Christian believing or Catholic, early settlers, but then you also had people sort of early on creating what would eventually become the order, the cult, and their series of beliefs. And this person, Jennifer Carroll, was persecuted by the Christians. She was not a Christian. Why would they persecute this person? So the implication there is the idea that she would have been persecuted by the Christians of Silent Hill at the time for being a member of the cult, following this cult belief. So even though this is just sort of like a little bit of flavor text on a statue of a woman in a cloak hidden away in Rosewater Park, you still get these cool like implications of the cult history. Even if you don't play something like Silent Hill 1 before this to get a better idea of the cult and the order, this game does like a good job of giving you just enough, just a tiny little hint of it, in order to kind of put into perspective a lot of the strange things. Oh, he's got little fenced off areas that you can't really get to. Although if you have cheat engine and know what you're doing, you can always flip into a lot of these areas. And one of the things, it's on my YouTube channel, exclamation point YouTube, if you haven't already seen the YouTube channel, but I've got a video on there called Hacking Silent Hill with Neko Run, Hacking Silent Hill 2 with Neko Run, where we go out of bounds and look at a lot of things. Yo, Captain Blad with the 69 months. Nice. Can we get a nice in chat? And if you're watching this later on YouTube, in the comments, can we get a nice for Captain Blad? 69 months of support. Tier 3 at that. Nice. Much love to you, Blad. Hope you're doing well tonight, sir. He can no longer sub. Yeah, that's the double edge. Now you can no longer sub. You have to end the streak. But right now, we're just kind of looking around. I like checking out some of the details and things in the town. You'll actually get some dialogue with Maria if you wander too far without kind of going the way that you're supposed to. So we might see that. One of those things that I don't really show too often. Little sign for the motel. You actually come to this motel in Silent Hill 3. Heather and Douglas stay here. Low rates, cable color TV, kings and queens. A lot of little residential areas here. Munson Street. The hotel was your special place, was it? Yeah, I kind of like, after playing through Born from a Wish, sort of getting the idea that Maria knows James and is still teasing him with shit like that. Blad, thank you so much for the $25. Subs in my region became too cheap, so here's a bit of extra to cover the difference. Yeah, I very much appreciate it. I'm in raising money and in the process of trying to replace my PC. My PC actually like completely died last week, but that'll go towards the new PC fund. But thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. Some unique car models and stuff that you'll see wandering around too. Like, there's a lot of them that you tend to see repeat a lot, but I think this one's only in like one other spot. Like an old Bronco or something. I do still owe you RAM of your choice. I mean, if you still want to cover that, that would be a huge help as well. He is out of breath. Fine now. Basketball hoop, no severed dog head. Like in Silent Hill 1. Cat Street. Quit it. I am pretty much out of bullets. We found a bunch of healing stuff. Fine. We got our beaten stick. All we need. The wooden plank with nails on one end. Not very powerful, but easy to use. Got nails in it. Pretty good. I think that's pretty much everything that we can get over here. To start making our way to see how much we can explore before going in Pete's Bolorama. Because that's the next place to go for actually progressing. There's a few other things to go and look at. Plus, like I said, there is a little bit of dialogue that you get just for kind of going the wrong way while Maria's with you. Here's the rooms where you see the inside of one of these rooms in Silent Hill 3. And Douglas and Heather make their way here. Hey, what's up, Cats Blazing? It'll be your birthday in a few hours? Well, happy, very slightly early birthday. Hopefully you have a great day. How dare you come over here and cause trouble? Cat's Blazing's birthday. All we're trying to do is look at dance company billboards. Classic ballet, jazz dance, aerobics. Leave her alone. Oh god. Maria, back up. Maria. Well, if I can tell you what ending we're not going to get. Having that final boss fight early. Yeah, we're probably not going to see the Maria ending on this playthrough. Say that. Keeps swinging and she drops money. That might be a different video game. Wave open. The Texon gas station. I like how there's this one car just running. Got a steel pipe. And then as soon as you take it, it stops. Could have just driven out of here. Now we have the steel pipe. 3-foot long steel pipe, not very destructive, but good range. Have the quintessential Silent Hill weapon now. Also, gotta point out, $1.17 for gas. It might be a horrible nightmare place, but $1.17 a gallon. Might be worth living in Silent Hill. Old-fashioned cool drink. So this little newspaper stand right here is where on a New Game Plus playthrough, if you're going for the rebirth ending, you would find the Book of Lost Memories. It explains kind of the history of Silent Hill as a town. Very briefly, you learn that before Silent Hill was settled and called Silent Hill, it was a different town with a different name. That was the original settlement, but that town and that name was lost to the history and, lost to time. It's basically kind of a slight nod to the real world story of Roanoke Colony. And that before that settlement, there were, spirits believed to live in the area by the Native American tribes, that they worshipped those spirits, believed they were in everything, like rocks, the trees. Good bit of, actual history. Speaking of history, the Silent Hill Historical Society. The early days of Toluca. Stories of the Truth. Nathan Avenue. And all these pictures of Toluca Lake, like we see on this billboard, and even in this beginning of the game, when you're looking at from the observatory, the background of Toluca Lake is just a photo that's been edited and sort of moved around to kind of be a slightly, give the illusion of a three-dimensional background. Is a real place in Keswick, called, or I think people have told me it's pronounced Keswick, but it's spelled Keswick, called Derwentwater. So we see another one of those photos of Derwentwater, which is what they use for Lake Toluca. Wayward Sun, thank you so much for the 65 months. Very much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. Hope you're doing well tonight. Oh, damn, 4 more months. A lot of people are at or around the sacred 69-month mark. Thank you so much, Wayward. Lakeside Amusement Park. Got a great billboard for this. Interestingly enough, because they didn't really have the ideas for Lakeside Amusement Park the way that it would be portrayed in Silent Hill 3 yet, you don't see any of the like iconic, you don't really have like Robbie the Rabbit, you know, and things like that showing up. Instead, they've got like 2 horses, some clowns. Wait, what does it say? Lakeside Amusement Park, and then there's text directly under it. Come on, funny, shiny night. Something? Come on, funny, shiny night. What is that last word? Like with like YL. Huh. 1 to 3 or 3 miles away. Luca Lake, keep the nature. You keep it. Yeah, I told you to keep it. You want to talk about things that are not going to be in the remake? 100% they don't put in mannequins flying from off screen, from over the guardrail. No way that makes it in the remake. Hey, your ad here. Could rent out some billboard space in Silent Hill. Quiet Cocktails. So we actually saw a Quiet Cocktails sign in a window, looking around the town and some of the buildings and some of the details and stuff that are there during the first part yesterday. Yo, holy shit, Wayward. Wayward with $100 says for the new computer. Wayward, thank you so fucking much. Holy shit, that is insanely generous. Wayward, thank you so much for chipping in and contributing towards replacing my PC. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is so awesome, dude. Very, very much appreciated, especially since you've been a big time supporter of the channel for a very long time. Thank you so much for helping me out. Allows me to continue doing what I love to do. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you so much. I'm gonna need me a quiet cocktail, man. Thank you, Wayward. Make out the text on the fences here. Lakeview Hotel boat launch. So it's specifically a boat launch to get over to the Lakeview Hotel. which we will row across and get to at the end of the game. Boats to Lakeside Amusement Park and Lakeview Hotel. The boat launch. Paleville and South Vale. So that's a good thing to sort of point out. These different districts, these different sort of sides of Silent Hill. Because it is sort of split by Toluca Lake. So on one end you have Paleville, and then that is essentially the other side of Silent Hill that you see in Silent Hill 1. And then this area that you're exploring in Silent Hill 2, South Vale. Just to kind of distinguish the recognizable sort of sections of the town and why it looks different from game to game when you're in different parts of it. Got the Silent Hill Historical Society with like a really weird sign. I like how the text is just like all sorts of different sizes. I don't know, it's like hand drawn. It's like a banner that you'd make in like middle school or something. Of course, it's locked. You have to go through a lot of trouble to get that key later. Buried in a box and screwed shut. Needs to be opened with a wrench. Oh, here it is. This is where I'm getting my new PC, you guys. Hashtag sponsored by Giga Computer. Trying to raise money. Get my new PC from Giga Computer right out of Silent Hill. For lease. Oh, Giga Computer is still around. Baby and Kids Superstore. Discount prices, baby gift registry, parking in rear entrance. That seems like one too many rears. Does Maria exist, or is she an imagination of James? She is a manifestation. She is physically real. She is physically there, but she is not a real person. He's created by James's desire for what he wanted his wife Mary to be, combined with the memories and thoughts and feelings of Mary, his dead wife, herself. But she's not just imaginary. But she's not real either. There is a difference. Silent Hill Fresh Meats. Just a picture of a cow. Look at that delicious cow. And some more mannequins flying at us from off screen. Oh, it's out of bounds. You're not supposed to be over there. Oh, it's teleporting around. It's really not supposed to be there. I can still attack it. Oh, there you go. You're free. Run, Maria. Well, that was something different. Bonked the enemy right out of bounds. Billboard here advertising the Lakeview Hotel. pretty accurate to the way that James remembers it. But even that, the fact that the sign is like not held up, you know, it's already fallen off and on the ground, kind of giving you this impression and this idea that it hasn't looked that way for a long time. Bridge is ruined. I can't get to the hotel from here. Another corpse resembling James. I mentioned these during the playthrough the first part of the playthrough yesterday, but everything essentially in James's mind is being represented physically into reality, at least the way that he perceives it, by the power of the town. And James has a deep-seated desire for punishment. He knows that he's guilty of killing his wife, Mary, and he wants to essentially be punished and essentially be dead for that. He came to Silent Hill with the intention of committing suicide before having his delusion, coming up with the whole false narrative of Mary's been dead for 3 years and sent the letter. As we come to find out, that never happened. She's only been dead for less than a week, that the letter itself is not real. But James initially came to the town to commit suicide. He was going to take his own life after killing Mary. And that part of his mind that still feels that way, that still remembers that, even through all of his delusion, is being manifested into these corpses that resemble him. We're still coming across these as we progress through the game. And similar to one of these corpses where we find notes that kind of highlight some areas of where we're supposed to go, finding this map also does a similar thing. It kind of marks off where we can't really go and has very clearly Pete's Bolorama circled. So if you're wandering around and you're unsure of where to go at this point in the game, there is your map to kind of give you a clue and point you in the right direction. But it's a lot more fun just to kind of wander. Billboard there for Heaven's Night. There's some more text on it. We've uncovered something. Need to get a cam hack. Get a closer look at some of these textures. Because there's a lot of little things, a lot of weird little bits of writing that you're not really meant to look at that closely anyway, but sometimes it's just kind of funny seeing what it is. A lot of times it's very weird, like broken English, like mistranslated things. Pet Center, Vaccine Clinic, every Sunday, 3:30 to 5. T's Italian Restaurant, which is another location that we see in town. Actually find that building, T's Italian Restaurant. Not a place that you can like go into or do anything with, but you can see the outside of the building, the sign for it. I just love all the fucking mannequins flying in. This is the only part, like the only part of the game where you ever see that happen. Billboard for the hotel, Jack's Inn, which is, again, we see it in Silent Hill 3. We actually see the inside of one of the rooms in Silent Hill 3. Beauty Rest, radio, TV, hi-fi, air condition. That's the most important thing. Those rooms didn't seem that nice, though. Just saying. Shit. Bolorama. 9 rod from here. Food, drink. 9 rod from here. Checks on gas. Where we got our steel pipe. South Vale gas station. Again, more things kind of distinguishing this particular area of Silent Hill as South Vale. Silent Hill Tavern. That like really stylized font. Pass, historic route. Sorry for anyone who's new to these playthroughs, who's like, what is this person doing? But when I say in-depth story playthrough, I really mean going around looking at just about everything. And this game's got a lot of unique little props and textures and things that if you don't really kind of stop and look around, never even notice some of these bizarre little details, like the women stretching and doing aerobics, little stickers on the entrance to Pete's Bolorama. Use the phone booth to call Konami support? Sadly, no. We gotta wait until Shattered Memories before we can call Konami support directly in a Silent Hill game. Which eventually we will get through. For anybody who's new to the channel, I've been doing Silent Hill story playthroughs and stuff like this for the whole series since 2015. And still go through them, so right now we're working our way through 2. I'm just going to be going through all of them in release order again. So I'll still be covering 3, 4, Origins, Homecoming, Shattered Memories, Downpour, and then I'll probably do some spin-off games after that. We might do Play Novel, arcade game, PT. Eventually, this is where Laura runs past and sort of gets away from us. Here's the locked door that leads into Heaven's Night, which conveniently Maria is not going to help open, even though she has the key to get in there right now. All right. Go ahead and go to the bowling alley. Pete's Bolorama. We get some interesting scenes here, some more information about some other characters, Eddie and Laura. We get one of the biggest mysteries in Silent Hill 2 introduced, and some of the best music on the soundtrack as well. All in this one little bowling alley.
I'll wait here. I hate bowling.
I didn't come here to play, you know.
Hurry back, okay?
So Maria also makes up the excuse, you know, that she hates bowling, to not come into the bowling alley with James. And there is a reason behind this, more than just she doesn't like to bowl. So like we just discussed, and like we just kind of covered with Born from a Wish and talking about all that today, Maria is a manifestation. She is something created by the town. She has will, and she has, you know, perception of reality and sort of her own conscience and consciousness, a bit more than your typical like manifestation when it comes to like the monsters and things. But she is still just sort of this manifested thing from the town. And there's a very unique property to manifested creatures and beings, things in Silent Hill. Everybody perceives reality differently, and everybody perceives things in different ways. Specifically with this game, like we're talking about the series as a whole, that's a whole nother mess. But specifically for Silent Hill 2, we see things like Angela Orozco's father, Thomas Orozco. Angela sees her father later on when we're fighting the abstract daddy boss creature. James is seeing the exact same manifestation, but he's seeing it as this monster, this creature. So like Angela's perception of reality is showing her actual father. James's perception of reality, the abstract daddy creature, which is sort of just what Angela's father represents, you know, at his core meaning to Angela. So Maria, as a manifestation, would essentially work the same way. So she never interacts with anybody. You never see her interact with anyone except for James. She doesn't interact with Eddie. She doesn't interact with Angela. She doesn't interact with Laura, even though she feels like she has a strong connection with Laura. None of these other characters who are confirmed as real by the developers. Laura's real, Eddie's real, Angela's real. None of them ever intentionally, you know, interact with Maria or vice versa, because they would probably perceive her as something else, which would possibly break the illusion of how James perceives her. So she's very careful and goes out of her way to not be in these situations where other real people are, which is her reason for not coming into the bowling alley. So it's just sort of a lame excuse. The I hate bowling line. Locked.
So what'd you do? Robbery? Murder?
Nah, nothing like that.
Huh! You're just a gutless fatso.
What'd you have to say that for?
I thought you said the cops were after you.
No, I just ran because I was scared. I don't know what the cops are doing.
But if you did something bad, why don't you just say you're sorry? Well, I guess I run away a lot too.
It's no good. They wouldn't listen. Nobody will ever forgive me. Did you find the lady you're looking for? What's her name? Mary?
So some real important dialogue already. Eddie and Laura, they kind of seem like they're walking around together at least a little bit. Obviously, Eddie wasn't with Laura when James first encounters her in the apartments, but Eddie's not far off. And a lot of people speculate. There's a scene in the intro where it never happens anywhere in the game, but there's a short clip of like a pre-rendered FMV with Eddie sitting outside on the ground next to this white van looking at like a map, and Laura is standing there with him and like kind of kicks his foot. So it's kind of implied, and there might have even originally been more scenes or things that might have been cut from the final game to give this implication that Eddie and Laura were kind of traveling together at least some of the time. We also get a little more of why Eddie is here. So we kind of know what happened with Angela. We're getting the first impressions of what happened with Angela. We'll eventually come to find out, you know, why Laura's here, that she read this letter that Mary had left and misinterpreted it, being an innocent child. Mary talking about going into this far off, beautiful place. You know, she interpreted that as being Silent Hill, this place that Mary always said was this place that she loved, rather than, you know, heaven, which is what Mary intended it to mean. And we now hear Eddie talking about, well, was he running from the cops? And then he says maybe he wasn't running from the cops. He's very unreliable on it. But we kind of get that impression when we first encountered Eddie through James in the apartments, where he's immediately denying, you know, that he didn't do it and he didn't kill that body. Even when James wasn't, like, asking, he immediately goes on the defensive. So he seems to kind of already be a liar and somewhat deceptive. So he's being kind of back and forth on, like, whether or not the cops are chasing him. But he's, at the very least, definitely done something. He's done something bad. And we just kind of get the first little impressions of that. Some neat little boxes. All the bowling pins, bowling balls, all these little things in the environment. And a little extra detail here and there. Cold drink. This specific cold drink vending machine gets reused in Silent Hill 3 as another asset. A lot of stuff that they made for 2 winds up getting used again in 3 and 4.
Eddie?
Oh, you're...
James. We met in the apartment building?
Yeah, I remember, but...
Are you alone here, Eddie?
No.
Bye-bye.
Wait! Come back! Eddie, let's go after her.
Huh? Laura? But why?
Laura. Is that her name?
That's what she said.
This town is full of monsters. How can you sit there and eat pizza?
She said she was fine by herself. She said a fatso like me would just slow her down.
Forget you.
Forget you. It's just such a, like, I don't know, you don't really hear people say that anymore. I remember that being a thing when I was in, like, grade school, early middle school, 90s, I guess that would have been 90s. Specifically, like, being a kid where you wanted to say fuck you, but there was, like, you know, a teacher or a parent or somebody around that you would get in trouble if you said fuck you. So instead you just have to settle for forget you.
Who is that girl, anyhow?
I don't know. All I know is her name. I swear.
So Eddie claims he doesn't know anything about Laura, and I mean, I kind of believe that. I don't think Laura would tell him anything, and Eddie is probably more focused on his own shit. Holy. Dude, I am cursed with tech issues. I don't know why the game is, like, threatening to die now, but I don't know what that was. It seems fine. We're just gonna keep going. We get the famous line. We get the how can you just sit there and eat pizza line. And I mentioned this is one of the biggest mysteries in Silent Hill 2, and legitimately it is. Where is this pizza from? There's so many answers, and even when you try to find a logical answer, there's just so much counter evidence. And we're really going to sit here and we're really going to go through all of the possibilities of where this pizza could have come from, what would have made more sense, and how it is still mysterious. So the pizza itself, you would think, okay, there's just a pizza place in Silent Hill somewhere, and somehow Eddie got some pizza. And if you look around, there is actually a billboard for a place called Andy's Pizza. But if you look at the cutscene, when the camera's panning past Eddie's pizza boxes, when James is talking to him, you see the logo on the box, and it's from a place called All Stars Pizza. There is nothing in Silent Hill called All Stars Pizza. So if it is from a delivery place, it's not a delivery place that's in Silent Hill, because the only place that's around in Silent Hill that does delivery pizza like that is called Andy's. So that's out. You might think that it's just manifested. So Maria has been manifested for James as something from his desires being made real, and because that is exactly what the town does. One of the things that Eddie is here for is he is self-conscious because he gets bullied about his weight. People call him fat, and he doesn't like that, and he strikes back with violence because he has problems. But that's part of why Eddie is here. So the pizza could almost be seen as a way of the town sort of like taunting him, like giving him more food and putting people in his path to sort of make fun of him as he goes along, and he starts retaliating more and more to those people in his way with violence. So you might think, okay, maybe the town would manifest the pizza for him. It would be sort of in line with his character. But then we have to go back to the rule that I explained earlier with manifestations. In Silent Hill 2, they've got a very specific way that they function. Different people perceive reality differently. There's a reason why when James mentions, that red pyramid thing to Eddie when they meet in the apartments, and Eddie says he doesn't know anything about that, but he did see some weird looking monsters. Eddie is seeing entirely different things than what James is seeing. The environment looks different to him, the creatures, the monsters look different to him. Anything that is manifested looks different between James and Eddie. We learn later with the Abstract Daddy example that things look different between James and Angela as well. We learn that Laura doesn't see any of the manifestations at all. She sees an empty but otherwise harmless town. So if the pizza was manifested and it was made specifically to taunt Eddie and look like pizza, James wouldn't be seeing it as pizza. So it can't be manifested. It has to be real. So then we go back to where the fuck did this pizza come from? And of course, as many answers do when it comes to Silent Hill 2, it comes from Masahiro Ito on Twitter, who finally solved the mystery of Eddie's pizza. He said it's a microwave pizza. He legitimately said that on Twitter as a joke response to a lot of people asking him about this question. He said that it's a microwave pizza that they sell here in the bowling alley, which opens up a whole nother set of questions. Where is this microwave? Where is this microwave pizza being stored? How is it still good? How is there still power? Why is it in a delivery box? But of course, it's just Masahiro Ito being a fucking troll and giving a joke answer to something that was never supposed to have that deep of a significance in the first place. Did I mention I fucking love this game? Can you tell?
Who is that girl, anyhow?
I don't know. All I know is her name. I swear.
So Eddie doesn't know Laura. He just knows her name. He doesn't know anything else about her, at least as far as what he's willing to tell James. And Laura herself has just kind of run off again.
Did a little girl run out of here?
Yeah, She was too fast for me. Aren't you gonna go after her?
So again, Maria, she cannot be seen by Laura. She won't be able to interact with Laura. Laura doesn't see manifestations, and Maria is not real. She's the manifestation. So from Maria's perspective, Laura just ran off and she was not able to keep up. But from Laura's perspective, she was just running along. She didn't even acknowledge Maria. She wouldn't see her. To her, she doesn't exist. But now, this area that we explored earlier will actually get cutscenes back here.
She went through there.
Is there any other way?
Yeah, there is. Right through there.
It's no good. It's locked.
So I love that scene. Just Maria getting the key, showing that she has the key, and unlocking the door to get into Heaven's Night. And it's that addition of James trying to sort of peek over her shoulder, where it's like he's being a pervert and it's kind of funny, but it's like so like inappropriate for the timing and everything. And apparently the idea of James sort of like peeking over her shoulder while she goes to get the key was like an improvised action by Guy Seehee when they were doing the mocap, where he mentioned this in his playthrough. I think that was during his playthrough with Fungo, where he talks about it. But he mentioned that he was trying out different little things for a lot of these scenes where they didn't really have dialogue, so they had to sort of think of ways to do little movements with their arms and their head just to sort of give some action to the sequence and sort of talk without using words, just through their body language, through the mocap. And he mentions, doing this little peek around her shoulder when she goes to get the key out of her shirt, and mentions that like the guys at Team Silent, they're sitting and watching, and Jeremy Blaustein was directing, where once he did that, they were like, oh yeah, that's great. They loved it and really wanted him to do it. So that's why that sequence is included. That was Guy Seehee coming up with things to do during these little sequences. And now we're in Heaven's Night. Absolute banger of a song. Vogue Rogue, welcome back. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you for the chill Silent Hill content. Hey, thanks for enjoying it. Thanks for being here. Supporting me, allowing me to do this. Hey, what's up, Mizzy? But yeah, now we're back in Heaven's Night. We came here earlier. Maria has already been here. She was technically kind of born here. Empty can, sink, cardboard box. None of them will be of any use. But the door that was locked with gum jammed in the locks, now she has the key to open it. Seems to open no problem. Also, I just realized the texture for this door is the same texture for the door that I talk about before the Angela cutscene. It's that bluish purple kind of bruised looking door. Flower vase, there's nothing else of interest. So this is big right here. Liquor bottles. I don't need that right now. It's not that I don't drink. In fact, I drink a fair bit. To get away from the pain, the loneliness, but the drinking never changes anything. Anyway, I don't need it now. There's something that I have to do. So much, like, just from examining these liquor bottles, James, through that inner monologue, that text, we get to know a lot more about his character, that he's not perfect, you know. He was shaken, and the pain and the loneliness that he was feeling, he tried to drink, you know, to get away from it, the way a lot of people would. You know, a lot of people would deal with grief or guilt or, you know, all these things that James has been feeling. And the fact that he says he used to do this, you know, that he used to drink to get away from it, but now he doesn't have to. Now he's focused on why he's here. And it's like, even through his delusion, even if he's kind of fooling himself into believing why he's here, that he's looking for Mary, that he got this letter, even if those aspects of it aren't real, his reason for being here is sort of coming to terms with the truth of what he's done and what he did to Mary. That, you know, he's focused on it. He doesn't need the alcohol to sort of hide from it or to run from it. He's here to face what he's done, at least as much as he can. He does still have a very strong mental delusion, and he's not exactly in line with reality, but a lot of that has to do with the location. A lot of that, I think, has to be the town's influence. So this room, now it's just the door has a broken lock and can't be opened. But this is the back room where Maria was essentially created, where she very first starts in the Born from a Wish sub-scenario. Wish he had more inner monologues like that. It's one of my favorite things about Silent Hill 3. Same. Silent Hill 3 has a ton of dialogue like that when you examine things in the environment as Heather. She says something about almost anything that you can look at. Even if it's very minor, she gives like a little bit of insight. With this game, it happens, but it's very rare. You know, it's just every once in a while. Got a first aid kit. Just a regular stage. There's nothing strange about it. And there's no pole dance Easter egg either. Stop asking. It's bread, so even if you want to go to the tried and true meme of it's bread, there's more dialogue than just it's bread. It's bread is just the first thing that it says when you first examine the bread in the bakery in Silent Hill 3. Heather has more dialogue after that. She comments about it, that she doesn't feel like eating. She gives some introspection on random everyday stuff in the environment that you go to look at. She doesn't just leave it at it's bread. And that's kind of the thing. Silent Hill 3 is great about that, where almost everything you look at, there's descriptive text that describes not only what is there, but kind of how Heather feels about it, or what it reminds her of, or makes her think it's gross, or, you know, anything like that. It gives us more insight into her character. For James, only a handful of things that he actually talks about like that. Heaven's Night. Again, I just kind of love the vibe in here. All the neon lighting. Turn your flashlight off and get a better sense of it. Really good music. eerie but kind of chill. Here we are, back out into the town. That street blocked off, which is why we had to cut through Heaven's Night. Game kind of forces you in this direction towards Brookhaven Hospital. Next big area.
Over there!
Laura, again, she's completely unaware of Maria. Maria, as a manifestation, doesn't appear at all to her, so she doesn't react to Maria calling out. Not that I think she would, even if Maria was real. See, there is Brookhaven Hospital. Take another quick look around. All this, we kind of just looked at in the Born from a Wish playthrough. And once you get to the end of the street, or at least to this intersection, I have to go after Laura. I can't just leave her all alone. Also, maybe she'll be able to tell me something about Mary. So it gives you a reason for James's motivation to actually go after her. Like, why would James care? I can understand why Maria would, but why would James? Wouldn't he just wander off and not give a shit? But hey, he's focused on Mary. That is the one-track mind, the one focus, his one goal, to come to terms with that and to look for Mary. So Laura might have some answers, might have some clues. Map to Brookhaven Hospital. And this is where I'm going to leave it for today's stream.